Hello, everyone, and welcome to Celebrating Cinema, a podcast for the love of cinema. I'm your host, Laura Gommans, and I'm here with our producer, Elliot Bloom, to talk about some new releases in cinema right now. Today, we're talking about Bugonia, the wacky new Yorgos Lanthimos starring Emma Stone and Jesse Plemons. Also, Kelly Reichardt's slow burn heist movie, The Mastermind, starring Josh O'Connor. Stick around because Hugo spoke to Kelly Reichardt about her new release. Before I begin, I'd love to share some cool things going on in the coming weeks here at Lab 111 in Amsterdam. Imagine Film Festival is a paradise for lovers of genre, so check out their separate program online. We have a stacked few months coming up because we're looking back on the films of Robert Redford, Jack Nicholson, the American New Wave era of cinema. That means you can see classics like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, Taxi Driver, The Godfather, Network, and so many others. A lot of other things going on, of course, so check out lab111.nl to see the full program. All right, Bugonia.
Do you want to explain a little bit about what it's about?
I will. Yeah. Okay, so Yorgos Lanthimos, the director of The Favourite, The Lobster, Poor Things, once again collaborates with his rightful muse, Emma Stone. This time she plays the polished and powerful CEO of a huge pharmaceutical company, while Jesse Plemons plays the conspiracy theorist that kidnaps her because he believes she's an alien from the Andromeda galaxy, sent to kill the human race, of course. Teddy's plan is to get her to agree to take him to the mothership where he will negotiate the Andromedans' withdrawal from Earth. Here's a clip.
Can we have a dialogue, please?
Don't call it a dialogue. This isn't Death of a Salesman.
Okay, can we talk, please? Or are you just going to
We
keep doing...
don't need to talk.
Yes, okay.
Because I know exactly what you're going to say. You're going to say that I'm in some kind of internet-induced, auto-hypnotic feedback loop.
We can talk about what we think, but we could also go into what is even the word Bugonia.
Yes.
Yes, right? Okay, so I came out of this movie thinking, what even is Bugonia? Is it like a flower? What does that mean? It's a word I didn't know. It comes from the Greek meaning of, I always love how Greeks manage to get so many words into one word, but it means generation of bees from an ox. Love to know the etymology of that.
Interesting.
It's a belief that traces back to ancient Egypt, where people believed that bees could spontaneously arise from the carcass of a dead cow. So basically people thought that if you killed an ox and left its body out, a swarm of bees would emerge from the rotting flesh, life born from death. And then people would sacrifice a cow and then hope that a bunch of bees would come to pollinate their crops. That is what the word Bugonia means.
Yeah.
So that's maybe good to start off on.
Yeah, because in the film, there is also this strong imagery of bees running throughout, right? Of how you have the queen bee, and bees are sort of these self-sacrificing colony that sort of work for the benefit of everybody else but themselves. Yeah, I like that. I didn't know about the sacrificing a cow for it. So I guess you could read it, is it worth toppling the sort of the heads or these bigger beasts and for the smaller people to rise up, let's say?
Hey.
What were you thinking when you came across this definition?
I was just curious because the movie opens on bees and flowers, and it opens on Teddy explaining to his cousin, Dawn, about how there's this worldwide pandemic going on where basically bees abandon their colony and then the colony dies out.
Yeah.
And that's just happening all over the world. And he thinks it all has to do with these Andromedans coming to Earth.
And like the pesticides.
And the pesticides that their pharmaceutical companies put into the world and like all of these things. And I don't know, I think that is so well done because I do feel that his concerns are rightful, but then he's also this totally deranged, insane person, but he's also smart. And I really like how they develop this character who's like a conspiracy nut job, but also maybe is he onto something? I thought that was really good. What can we just? I have no idea. We saw it together, but we always do this thing when we see a movie together is that we just keep a straight face in the elevator down and just go, "Well, see you on Monday," so we can talk about it here.
It'd be fun, I think, to guess what each other gave this. So I'm gonna say for you, I'm gonna say 4 stars.
Damn. Okay. Because you could see my goofy ass smile throughout this movie being I really loved it. I don't know if you liked it as much as I did, but also you have a better poker face.
Yeah.
I feel like, not to be like, oh, you don't emote, but I was, because you were sitting kind of across the row from me. So I kept kind of like looking at Elliot to see, is he into this or is he, but it's so hard to tell with you always. I don't know if you like this.
I didn't.
Oh no.
Yeah, I got a lot of issues with it, but I think fun to start with you first because I think already with this definition.
Okay, we're doing one of those I actually gave it 5 stars because I absolutely fucking loved it. And initially I gave it 4.5 because I just thought I've just seen so many bad movies recently, and it's like, this is a movie. This is fun. I'm having fun the whole time. Everyone's bringing their A game. So I gave it. I think I started at 4 stars. Then I was like, no, wait a minute. What did I not like? There was nothing I didn't like about this. So then I was like, what do I give 5 stars? But a movie where there's nothing I didn't like.
Okay, let's go.
Let's go.
So tell me what you love, or what really worked for you.
I just truly think that Jesse Plemons and Emma Stone are the best ones we have in our generation of millennials. This is a conversation I have a lot with friends. Like, who are the people in the millennial generation that are bringing their absolute A game? And I think Emma Stone and Jesse Plemons are the Tilda Swinton and Philip Seymour Hoffman. They're quickly becoming that, and like the interesting parts they choose, but also how they approach these roles and how like I don't think anyone else could bring to these parts what they did. I thought that was incredible.
Side note, I think Jesse Plemons is even playing the Philip Seymour Hoffman character in Hunger Games.
And the new Hunger Games.
Yeah, which I think is a nice nod.
Yes, absolutely. He's just like the closest thing we have to Philip Seymour Hoffman, and I will grasp onto that. What worked for me is the constant not knowing and just constantly just being jerked around by, okay, obviously you think this guy's a crazy guy and she's just a CEO. And she kind of like tries to get out of the situation, of course, by at some point maybe being like, yeah, I am an alien because this guy's clearly crazy. And if he believes I'm the alien, he'll take me outside and then I can get away. But is she an alien? Or wait, or is this guy like really smart and she's an alien? No, of course not. But, or is she like being jerked around like that? I thought was hilarious and fun, and you're just like part of this escape room kind of where you're trying to figure out what's going on because these two characters obviously know. Well, I guess Jesse Plemons doesn't know, but like Emma Stone obviously knows whether or not she's an alien. So she plays this really smart mind game. You can tell that she's incredibly intelligent, but then Jesse Plemons is also incredibly intelligent in his own way, and I think that makes for fun dialogue, fun situations, fun mystery. Yeah. And I think it's the most accessible Lanthimos we've had to date.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. I would agree with that. I think...
I'd love to hear your thoughts.
So I have to explain myself a bit here. But so like, firstly, the issue for me was, so it sets it up that we're building towards the lunar eclipse. And this is the day in which Jesse Plemons' character, Teddy, is going to hopefully get taken by Emma Stone's, the CEO character, to meet...
to the Andromedan's mother.
Exactly. Lanthimos is known for being weird, for being eccentric, all the things I love, but it takes too long to get there, I would say. So only by the final day do things really start to unravel and go like crazy. And so I was kind of waiting too long for that. As you were saying with Teddy's character, we're never quite sure if he's onto something or if he's a nut job. I like that about it. But in that sense, it takes that character seriously. But my issue with it is that it doesn't take conspiracy. It plays into a too contrived or cliched depiction of a conspiracy theorist for me.
Okay.
I think it shows like Teddy as someone who has suffered or has been punished by the system in some way and therefore is aggrieved by the system. His mother has basically been damaged or... has suffered side effects from I believe a treatment or something related to the...
Yeah, it was opioid withdrawal medication.
Yeah, and something also, and I think it was also related to the pesticides, maybe, I'm not sure.
Yeah, what I believe is that basically the pharmaceutical company that Emma Stone works for had this experimental new drug to help people kick an opioid addiction. They tried that on his mother and that landed her in a coma. Yeah. So that's basically his grievance with the company. He also works for this company, by the way, in like a very low, like Amazon warehouse type deal where he just packs boxes. So yeah, that's like the prior grievance with this company. Yeah, so it kind of sets it up in that way. And for me, that's almost, it was too cliched and too contrived to be like, this is your stereotypical conspiracy theorist who could be onto something maybe. But I think the world in which we live in today, I don't think conspiracy theorists are actually as
crazy as they are depicted. I think we are regular people who have every reason not to trust the governments, not to trust the media. Like, we've gone through the COVID pandemic and we still don't know the origins of that.
Yeah.
You have Tucker Carlson, the far-right commentator, who's released actually a very credible documentary on 9/11 being something of an inside job.
Is this where we find out that you're a raging conspiracy theorist and this hurts your people?
I don't want to dive too much into it,
Yeah.
but I think it's just more that I think people should be allowed or have every right to not trust all the information that they're getting. And then to paint Teddy's character as someone who has simply been forced into this position because of his own personal experiences, I think doesn't then take the wider conversation that Lanthimos, for me, is trying to set up seriously enough for audiences to engage in. And so I was constantly thinking, who is this film for? And I think as I'm watching this, you hope, obviously every film isn't going to be for everybody, but you would hope that anybody could be able to access this film.
Yeah.
And I could imagine people who are maybe leaning into conspiracies or who don't trust a lot of like reputable sources of information will be instantly turned off by this because they see it almost as just like perhaps sort of like a liberal,
Satire,
and like a too easy kind of elitist looking down on us, not taking it seriously enough. And that for me was my real grievance with it, that I wasn't able to really get into the film, and I was frustrated by it because I think it's an interesting premise that Lanthimos is playing with, and I think, again, like you said, it's most accessible and probably one of his most exciting out of the three. But it just unraveled too much for me that I wasn't happy with it. But the one thing I did like, not the one thing, there's two things I liked. The end, that's not like when the splat screen comes up, but not to give away the ending, but there's this beautiful final sequence of like this weird still life photography of like these very staged scenes of you'll see, but
it is beautiful.
It was beautiful. It's pretentious as shit, but I love it. I really loved it, and it like reminded me of who Lanthimos is. Just weird, sort of unsettling, unnerving, but kind of funny also in a way. And I just wish that the film had leaned more into that sooner rather than waiting to the end. And then obviously the big nod to Trump recommending to drink bleach.
Right.
That's definitely an element within this film.
That's in there. Yep.
Which I thought was funny. But
nods.
Yeah.
What did you think of the performances?
Great. Like, there's nothing wrong. I think I actually was really impressed with Emma Stone's performance. Like you said, she's like, it's almost a schizophrenic performance. And she's also very physical in her character. Like when she comes up off the bed, realizing that her hair's shaved, it was actually giving me this feeling of Nosferatu or Frankenstein and this kind of feeling. And then Jesse Plemons, like you said, he always just knocks it out the park. I mean, he also
whatever he's in.
He lost a lot of weight for this role, you can see. And he's just completely committed to the bit. So I was
so believable.
It was just more the premise in which Lanthimos is setting up the story and whether he's taking his audience seriously enough or if it comes across too condescending.
We both liked Eddington. Eddington obviously deals with conspiracy theorists as well, but I actually feel like the way that Eddington deals with conspiracy theorists is a lot more sinister in the sense that it goes, look at these people unraveling. It makes sense that they're unraveling, but also it ends in like bloody murder. And here it's like, look at this guy. He's been driven to this point by this and this and this happening in his life. Maybe he's on to something. I almost feel like they're dealing with it in the same ways. Like, we can't judge these people for being stupid dum-dums. Because they have reasons to believe what they believe. I actually think that this movie does that as well. Without going too much into spoiler territory, I do think this movie kind of likes this character. I was thinking about this comparison to Eddington, and I think the difference for me, like, I think obviously with Ari Aster, he perhaps develops too much of a violent consequence for these theories. But I was thinking, though, the characters that we meet, they are just regular people. There is nothing really, anything spectacular or significant that's happened to them for them to think the way they do. They have just gone about their lives, and that's probably what I was missing or hoping to have seen with the characters here. Because, like, to be fair, the Jesse Plemons character lives like somewhere remotely, and all of his windows are pasted up with newspapers, and like it is very much a cliche in that sense.
And I think there's also like suggestions that perhaps he was sexually abused by his babysitter or something like this, and it was just like one bad thing after another, and it was Yeah.
Another good double bill.
Yeah, but do you think you would rewatch this film?
I would rewatch it literally tomorrow.
Really?
Yeah. My partner wants to see it, and I was like, let me know when you go, because
Yeah.
I will definitely go again.
Yeah.
I really liked it. I think it would be a very fun rewatch, kind of see where they plant the things that happen further down the line.
Yeah.
I think it would be a great rewatch, and I thought it was enjoyable start to finish. I also really like that, the physicality of the comedy, but also the Yorgos Lanthimos like filming style, where it's these like really, really, really extreme wide shots, and then these really, really, really extreme close-ups. And I have to mention the score. The score is bananas.
Yeah.
And I loved it. I need to look up who did that. That was an incredible score. That was really, really good.
Now that he's done this run of Poor Things, Kinds of Kindness, and Bugonia, I would like to see him perhaps take himself a little bit outside of the Hollywood system, but maybe with still the same actors, and be a bit more free in and what we're familiar with.
I kind of feel like he did that with Kinds of Kindness, and that fell flat on his ass.
Yeah.
But
Well, I mean, The Lobster, Killing of a Sacred Deer, Dogtooth, they are really, really weird and bizarre and unsettling and funny at the same time. And I think there's just something of being inside Hollywood that's taken his individuality from him, at least from my perspective.
Right.
And I'm curious to see if he's going to continue working with Emma Stone and Jesse Plemons, because he really seems to be vibing with both of them. But I also wonder how many more
I would be
roles.
incredibly surprised if this doesn't land both of those people Oscar nominations. Like, I would be very surprised.
Without, again, going into spoiler territory, what do you take away from this film, or the note on which it ends? That was also my other issue, is perhaps it was also a bit too pessimistic and too cynical. I felt it wasn't helpful to set that tone based on the topics that it's trying to present. But I don't know if you felt that.
No, I could see how you feel that. I also feel like, God, it's so hard to talk about this without saying anything spoilery, but I think it's just like subverts the expectation. It does this thing. It just takes these anxieties around this climate. It takes it to the most extreme possible absurdism.
Yeah.
And I had a blast with that. Like, I was like laughing. And I think that is also fun, because I think it does kind of the opposite that Eddington does, where it just goes, oh boy, this all spirals down. And I think this kind of ends on a different note, where it's like, wow, I didn't expect it to go there at all, but sick. Okay, cool.
Yeah. That I was happy with, that it builds up to something and then it completely takes you the other way. Just, like I said, again, I'm also curious I'm curious to see what he does next, also in the terms of the story that he tells, also with Ari Aster, because they are now clearly consumed by what is happening around them in the world. So how do they then build on this? Or is it this just their one-off and then they go back to making films that they're more comfortable with making? But we'll see.
We'll see. I can't wait. The Mastermind. Kelly Reichardt's new movie, The Mastermind, follows Josh O'Connor as J.B. Mooney, an out-of-work carpenter living a seemingly normal life with his wife, Terry, played by Alana Haim, and their 2 sons. In a try to get some easy money, he plans to steal some Arthur Dove paintings from a local museum. But don't expect a thrilling heist movie, as the heist happens pretty much in the beginning of the movie. The rest of the movie just deals with the consequences of his actions. Here's a clip.
Saw Kip's father today. He said Kip has projects all over town.
He spends all his time balancing books, scheduling, on the phone. It's an idiotic way to spend your time.
Well, you seem to have a good amount of time on your hands.
Right. How do we feel about this one?
Oh, I'm going to sound very pessimistic.
Yo, you don't like anything?
I saw what Kelly Reichardt's trying to do. She's an incredible filmmaker and very competent, and she does this amazing thing of adding sort of a deeper level or breaking down the structures of anything that she does, which I really like.
Yeah.
But it was just quite boring.
Really? Maybe it's because you're not in love with Josh O'Connor.
No, I am in love with Josh O'Connor.
Well.
Because La Chimera, oh my gosh, I could watch that so many times because of how amazing he is. But yeah, I don't know. It's obviously the whole point is to show the mundanity of this man trying to add a bit of spice or excitement to his life because he's really struggling. But I was more curious, of course, of of the consequences of his actions. but then you almost get to that point and then it ends pretty much.
Right.
And so, yeah, I was just left in this weird thing of wanting to see what happens after without getting that.
I could see that. I really liked the stillness and the moments because I think, again, if we're talking millennial actors, Josh O'Connor is someone who can just apparently carry a movie by himself, which he does in La Chimera as well. It's also mainly just on him. I like the subversion of the heist movie genre. Yeah. Where it's like, oh, there's going to be a heist. That's so exciting. And it's like, oh, that took like 5 minutes. Sick. What's going to happen now? And you just follow this kind of like lovable doofus who's also unlikable, but likable. And he's just like, I love that there's this one scene, I think that's like an 8-minute scene where he tries to get the paintings up a ladder in a barn. And it's just delightful. I just remember writing down in my notebooks, like, I think this scene has been going on for like 6 minutes and nothing has happened but him trying to struggle getting these paintings up a ladder. And I'm like, yeah, I'd gladly sit here and watch this. But yeah, it doesn't really have a super strong narrative in that sense. I think this is more the promo side's fault where they go like, Alana Haim's in this movie. It's like, is she really? Yeah. Is she really? Could that have been a cardboard cutout of Alana Haim? It would have been exactly the same. She gets nothing to do. And I don't want to be like, oh, this movie doesn't pass the Bechdel test. Yeah. Because I think not every movie has to when you have just the main focus on this one character. And
the whole point of this film, at least what I took from it, is focus on male or masculine figures or father figures who aren't able to live up to who they're supposed to be and them dealing with the consequences.
Yes, because he's from like a well-to-do family and they're constant, like his dad is constantly saying, oh, the kid from the Smith family, did you hear that he's a doctor and he's this? And like, it's that cliche of like, and then he's out of work and he keeps lying about that he has this like huge project just to not be embarrassed in front of his wife and his parents. And then I guess it drives him to do this. Yeah. It's again like driving it to the extreme, like the desperation that people go through to save face and it blowing up in their face. Yeah. Yeah. I guess the kind of like the standard like middle class discontentment and wanting to impress people. And
yeah. Exactly.
And maybe not being smart enough to think ahead. This is what I always wonder, because also like a couple of weeks ago we had that big like thing at the Louvre, like where they stole like, and it's like, well, okay, so then you stole them. Now what? Yeah. How are you gonna even like get these things on the market for sale? Because like everyone's looking for these things. Like how does art robbery even work? Or does it just go to some like billionaire who gets off on like having them?
Yeah, well they say like with the Louvre one that they probably had a buyer already in place because otherwise you.
But then what does the buyer do? They just like walk around in their living rooms like, these are the royal jewels, haha.
Yeah, surely you get bored just looking at it after so many times. Unless they're like super narcissistic and just like to wear it or something. But
I don't know. I just feel like, and that's a completely different podcast that we'll do sometime in the future. But I think billionaires are fucked up, and that's a really controversial opinion. But yeah, I did like the contrast with, for example, in Ocean's 11, where it's like a bunch of cool guys getting away with it. Yeah, and here it's like, oh, he's a little loser. I like the style. I feel like I've talked to people who hated the kind of like the way it was filmed with this like very 70s, almost like filter, like a very like soft, almost like a Vaseline lens filter. I kind of like that. I thought it was cozy as hell. Again, I really like the score. It's like some really awesome like 70s jazz vibes.
I mean, yeah, because Kelly Reichardt, she's known for sort of slow cinema and really spending time with the characters, but as I was saying, because it's partly how the film's marketed and also how the premise of the film being based around the heist, of course there's a certain irony or satire to add the slow element to something as high octane or action heavy expected sequence of the heist. But like I said, I was just more interested, we spend time with her characters, right? And we only really got that near the end, and only then you start to see him slightly unravel a little bit, and then it just ends. And that for me was, what I was missing or what I enjoy most about her film. So
and maybe a little bit more about what she's trying to do setting it in this time and having kind of this undertone of like political discontentment and like the war and like the Vietnam War, like class struggles, like all of that. It just kind of gets touched on very like lightly.
Yeah.
But yeah, it touched on these subjects and never really went deep into them. I think, should we do what you think we rated it? Because I also didn't see her. I always immediately log everything on Letterboxd, and Elliot just always waits like a month and then does everything in one go, I feel.
I never know the etiquette with rating films when you do press screenings, because I feel like some people don't rate it because they don't want to put people off from watching it or something. But I feel you always rate it no matter what, which I respect.
Yeah, I always rate it. I feel like sometimes when I like interview the people who made the movie, and I thought it was mid, then maybe I won't. Like maybe then I won't rate it, or I'll rate it like later. I did that recently too. Like I did a Q&A with a filmmaker that I rated his movie 3 stars, and then the other day I saw that he was following me on Letterboxd, and I was like, oh no, I'm so sorry. So anyway, I don't know if he listens to the podcast, but it is hard, like rating movies when you go to these press screenings or when you get to talk to the filmmakers. Like obviously we, like Hugo, talked to Kelly Reichardt, but we didn't. So I enjoyed it. I think initially coming out of it, I gave it a higher rating than I did thinking about it a little bit more. Yeah. Like, because people have been asking me about the movie, and then actually when I talk about it, I don't think I'm as excited about it as I was initially coming out of it. Yeah.
So what did you give it? 3.5?
I did. Yeah. Yeah.
I think I give it, or would give it 2.5. But I'm quite like I'm an extreme kind of racer.
I always go, you know what? Baseline, it's just really hard to make a movie. Yeah. Listen, I don't know if I could do a better job. So I have a lot of friends. Hugo also is someone who will just go 1 star, half a star. It's like something has to be so deeply, deeply diabolically shit for me to give it 1 star. Yeah. If I go, meh, yeah, that was good, that's a 3 star for me. Where for some people, meh, yeah, that was fine, is a 2 star. Yeah. And so I don't know.
We need more people like you in the world, and then the world would be kind, I think. But yeah, as you said, Hugo managed to speak to Kelly, and I think we're going to hear a little bit now from that conversation. Albeit it was on a train, as Hugo managed to forget his passport on the way to I think it was like a Golden Globes committee meeting in London. So
because Hugo's now part of the Golden Globes committee, by the way. Can we just get a round of applause for that?
And he has this great picture of him showing his, was it Time
is Luck?
Yeah, Time is Luck tattoo, a reference to his favorite film, Miami Vice.
His favorite film, Miami Vice. I'll just say that again.
And it's him with that tattoo stood next to Colin Farrell, who goes, oh shit, I think that was my line. But anyway, here's Hugo.
Kelly, thank you so much for making some time to discuss your latest film, The Mastermind, which I find so interesting how you channel this, let's say, 1970s aesthetic, this kind of like scruffy old genre cinema of America, but give it your own twist. I wanted to ask first, what is your relationship with the kind of films that it seems to echo of this time in the 1970s? Do you have fond memories of watching this kind of films yourself?
The film takes place in 1970, so it's not really so much in the 70s yet. It's sort of the end of the 60s. Later, I watched films from the 70s. I mean, I was a child in 1970, but I appreciated the Hollywood New Wave, films by Monty Hellman and Shirley Clark, and just people that were able to, mostly men, let's face it, all men, basically. Not all, I guess. Barbara Loden, she was able to. But yes, I enjoyed that period of, those films, certainly. Yeah.
And well, what I find so interesting is that with a film like Night Moves, right, you've already made a film that relies very heavily on certain genre tropes that really goes into the territory of crime, of people that are engaging in the acts of sabotage. Compared with that film, I would say that The Masterminds is on purpose much more scruffy, in a sense, much more, let's say, naively amateuristic, but in a very endearing and fascinating way. What does it mean for you to work with these kind of genre tropes, but then kind of turn them around a little bit on their head so that you can take something else out of these elements and expose maybe also something else about humanity in the process?
Let's see. Yeah, I'm trying to think if I think of it as a scruffy film, but it starts very more formal in the genre of the heist, but then it breaks away from the genre and it becomes more just like the character. Exactly. He does what he has planned, and then he is has to sort of make up and improvise what comes next. So with the filmmaking, I guess that the next part of the film is falls outside of the genre a bit. And so there's less of a absolute path to follow. But yeah, I mean, the 70s films that I think you're referring to, were already playing with genre and taking genre and opening it up and slowing it down or putting the focus on different things, making scruffier characters. It's like this is maybe a little bit further than that because, I mean, they have been deconstructed already. And it's really more of a character film than anything. And Josh O'Connor, who plays in the lead role, I mean, there's echoes of other characters because of his situation. But then also, I think he does something unique with it and something that has a lot of ambiguity to it and sort of leaves room for the viewer to project what they want a little bit onto him.
Kelly, you said a couple of things that I think are very important. You're talking about improvisation, you're talking about not following an absolute path, and you're talking about ambiguity. I think these are three things that could possibly define also, in a sense, your movie making, your filmmaking, which I find has such a incredible freeness to it in the way that you can approach narrative, character, environment, the way that people basically think it through elements and how do they manifest also in your filmmaking itself. Is the making of the film also the result of discoveries on the set, or are you scripting very rigorously? How do you see this relationship between how you work and what you film?
It's a mix. Like, we don't improvise. There's a kind of a structure, a formal structure of shooting that goes on, but having those things be kind of set, there's room in the space because there's a lot of space and time for the actors to, you don't know what a performance is going to be until you're seeing it. You don't know how two people are going to respond to each other until it's happening on set. You're on set, they're in their costumes, they're in their in the locations that are supposed to be their homes, and everything takes on something that's unpredictable, even though you've been planning and planning every little thing along the way. So, there's what the day brings and the weather and the animals and the kids and just even the patterns of how a crew's working. That all comes to light, or even the way, I can imagine how something's gonna be said forever in my mind and change it every day, and then when, it's in the mouth of the actor, they have their own take on it and their own physicality, and it's gonna be a surprise to me no matter what.
That's beautiful. And that immediately, of course, makes me wonder what the collaboration with Josh Connor was like, what it was specifically about these qualities that you're already ascribing to it and that you needed to add for the character in the Mastermind. How did that exactly come about?
Well, like everything in filmmaking, it's a process that you are building on. I mean, I met Josh, we sent him music of that would be on the radio at that time in that location, which is in Massachusetts. In so it's like September, Massachusetts, 1970 in Framingham, and then maybe some things that would be in his own record collection. And I sent him some documentaries from the period, some home movies, some essays, just things to make the get across the environment of the moment in
It's a super textural approach almost.
yeah, but in the most particular way you can, so it's not like the 70s or, things of a big nature. You're saying like, here's and he worked with a dialect coach to get and so all of these things build and then, you're working on with, getting him in his clothes and what that does to a character and meeting the kids and hanging out with Alana and so just getting so it kind of accumulates. Yeah, and then getting into the dove paintings.
The interesting aspect of the film, what it means for art to escape the museum, and then what happens with it, it kind of changes its nature. The film might start as a riff on a genre cinema, but then it veers off into this deep psychological portrait. That I think this also very much ties into what happens with art when it gets removed.
Well, the artist is Arthur Dove, an American abstract painter, early abstract painter, sometimes thought to be the first American abstract painter. And he works from nature, and his work is quite small in size, usually. Like the paintings we're using in the film are some of his largest paintings. And they work differently. What you're saying is interesting because they work differently. If you look at a dove by itself, it's really different than seeing it in a room full of doves. And it's different, when we're looking at them in the art warehouse where the art department's working versus when you set them, we're always wondering, like, is this going to feel like enough that he's taking something that is, really of value and precious. And then when you set it in the setting of the gallery space, it takes on, they take on an importance in a way because someone has said this is worth doing and worth you coming and seeing. Some institution has said that. And so, yes, but there are other masterpieces in the museum that he, kind of runs by. But the doves seemed quite right for the size museum that would be like a regional museum in a small industrial town on the East Coast. Yeah, so the doves were important in that way. I mean, I'm a fan of his work, so it was a chance.
Bugonia is screening right now at Lab 111, so you know where to find your tickets. If not, I'll just say it again. It's lab111.nl. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you on the next one. Stay connected with us at Celebrating Cinema and Lab by following at Lab111 on Instagram and Letterboxd. If you love what we do, support us by leaving a review on your favorite podcast platform. It really helps us climb the ranks of the podcast charts. This was a Lab 111 production, edited and produced by Elliot Bloom with music from Hugo Emmerzael and artwork from Studio FFF.